Good morning, baseball fans, and welcome back here to Gerald E. Thompson Field, affectionately known as the Gus, here in Waupun, as we get ready for some Region 4 American Legion 16U action. Elimination game here between Beaver Dam post 146 and Kettle Moraine post 196, the Lasers. As these two teams are fighting to stay alive to be able to play tomorrow. The winner will advance, the loser will be going home. Let's talk a little bit about the setup here. Beaver Dam is the home team. Their defensive set, pitching for Beaver Dam, is going to be number 10, Aiden Root. He's going to be caught by number 2, Braden Strakota. Over at first base is going to be Blake Hartman. He is going to be DH'd for by Jarek Westover. Second base is Jake Jilka. At shortstop is Boston Damon. And at third is Carson Franke. In left is going to be Leo George, Kyler Keel in center, and Jeff Freund in right. Coming up to bat first then for Kettle Moraine Lasers from post 196. Leading off is going to be number 2, Emmett Kelchin. He's going to be the center fielder. Number 7, Aiden Asher is the third baseman. He will be on deck. And in the hole is number 3, Dominic Fracaro. He is the catcher. Expect to have a great game here. Beautiful weather here at the Gus. Phone is telling me that it's 75 degrees here with a wind coming out of the northeast at 7.2 miles per hour.
Right Kreitz behind home plate. And Kurt called doing the bases today.
Umpires for today's game, Rick Breitkreitz is going to be behind the plate, and Kurt Cull is out in the bases. And we're blessed to have these gentlemen coming here. They did umpire a state baseball game this year for the WIAA, so fantastic umpires here at the Gus this morning. Getting ready, here comes the first pitch. High at 10:54. First pitch, again, 75 degrees, wind out of the east-northeast at 7.2 miles per hour. Ball to Kelchin. Here's the next pitch. In there for a strike by Aiden Root. Kelchin is the center fielder here for the Lasers today. Here's the pitch. High and outside, 2-1. Here comes the next pitch. Down low in the dirt, 3-1 to Kelchin. Here comes the next pitch. Outside, drawing the walk is Kelchin. They have a leadoff runner on.
Kelchin draws a leadoff walk for Kettle Moraine. Brings up the third baseman, number 7, Caden Asher.
Up to bat now is going to be Caden Asher. He is the third baseman for the Lasers, number 7. Could I see the bracket, please? I can't remember what the score was, or the scores on there. Ball hits hard. Oh, throw over to first. Sorry about that. I did not have my, I was looking for the bracket, so I apologize for that. So on the throw over to second, it's going to allow on the error, it's going to allow the runner to get over to third base. That's Kelchin. First pitch hit on the ground to the shortstop, Damon. He picks it up, fires across the field to Hartman to get the out. But the run scores here for the Lasers. So right off the bat, they score with that. RBI goes to Kelchin. It's put out on 6-3. Brings up number 3, Dominic Fricaro. I believe the score last night, Beaver Dam and Watertown, was 5-2. So Beaver Dam had their first loss last night at 7 o'clock. And KML beat Oconomowoc 13-6. That's how these teams got here. Hartford will be playing later on with Watertown. And we'll talk about those teams when we get there. Second pitch is in there for a ball. Third pitch, I'm sorry, to Dominic Fricaro.
Comes in a box of 6.
Aiden Root fires in there for a strike. 3-1, I believe, is the count. Here's the next pitch. Fouled off there by Fricaro. Brings it to a full count. Here comes the next pitch by Root. Hit over to the second baseman, fielded cleanly, gets the out. By Jilka, getting it over to Hartman.
Fricaro grounds up to second.
For the second out.
Brings up number 32, Logan Gronwald.
Brings up now the shortstop for KML. Or sorry, KM, not KML. Kettle Moraine. Not used to that. We've got Kettle Moraine Lutheran in our high school conference. First pitch in there for a ball to number 32, Logan Gronwald. Root is the pitcher again for Beaver Dam. Here's the pitch in there. Hit up the middle for a base hit. The first base hit of the game.
Gronwald with the single to center.
Stryeski. Brennan Stryeski.
Number 21, Brennan Stryeski. I did already, and I still can't.
First pitch in to Stryeski from Root is in there for a strike.
Yeah, his name's DZ, and this is how I have it spelled.
Next pitch. Oh. The single off over to, sorry about that.
Is that 2 pitches to him? Right?
Yeah.
Stryeski
Second base hit.
Single.
Moves the runner over.
Brings up number 10, Grayson Larridge.
Quarter on a 6-3 something or 6 something? 6 something.
Here's the next hit. Out in left field again. Going to hold the runner. He was waiting to see where the throw was instead of getting it back in. Throws it in.
Single to the left.
Now bases are loaded with 3 straight hits.
Number 15, Sullivan Vogues. Allows one down.
Brings up number 15, the pitcher for KM, Sullivan Vogues. Great start here for Kettle Moraine. This is exactly what they wanted. It's to jump all over Beaver Dam. Three straight hits. After 2 outs even. So the Kettle Moraine post 196 Lasers doing a great job here. After Strakota goes out and has a conversation with Root, here comes the first pitch to Vogs. In the dirt, nice block there by Strakota for a ball. 7th hitter in this inning. Here's the next pitch. Gets away from Strakota, and they're going to be able to score here at home. Just barely, almost got him as Root came in, but he is safe. All the runners are going to advance on the wild pitch. Second run comes in for KM. Post 196. Runners at second and third now. Lorich is over at second. Here's the pitch. Strike inside to Vogs. 1-1. Oh, 2-1. So I missed that one in the dirt. Yep. Here comes the pitch. Again, that's going to get away from Strakota. It's going to allow another run to score. On the wild pitch.
Stryeski scores on the wild pitch.
And allows for Lorich. So Stryeski scores, allows for Lorich to move up over to third. Still trying to get everything woken up here with clicking on the cameras. Here's the next pitch. Fouled off. Makes it a full count.
That did sound good. Thought I was going. My plastic wouldn't work to that. I was leaning back talking just like this, and then the plastic snapped.
Hit over to Boston Damon at short, fields it cleanly, fires across the diamond to Hartman, and gets the out. For the third out. So 1, 2, 3 runs on 3 hits, no errors, and 1 left on. Pitches in this first inning for Root. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23.
23 pitches for Root in the inning.
23 pitches for Root in that inning. We'll be back here as Kettle Moraine post 196 lasers jump all over Beaver Dam post 146 right away and the top of the first. Let's see if Beaver Dam post 146 can answer when we come back here to the Gus. You're listening to Jeff Sauer here on Jeff's live stream. Hope you're enjoying. Back here to the Gus. Bottom of the first as Beaver Dam post 146 is coming up to bat. Let's set the Kettle Moraine defense for you. Pitching is going to be Sullivan Vogs, and he's going to be caught by Dominic Fraccaro. Over at first base is going to be Ben Schwartz. Second base is Luke Malazzo. At short is going to be Logan Gronwald. And at third is Caden Asher. In the outfield is going to be Brennan Stryeski, Emmett Kelchin, and in right will be Grayson Lorich. Coming out to bat first for Beaver Dam is number 15, Kyler Keel. He is the center fielder. Briggs Dakota is on deck. Boston Damon's in the hole. Here we go with the first pitch in. That's going to be a ball wide from Vogs. One of the things that you find out is how deep your pitching is when you get into a tournament like this. You need to have a good 5-6 pitchers that you can rely on. Be nice if everybody on the team can throw. That's the first ball fouled. 1-1 to Keel. So we'll see what each of these teams has as they're getting into their 4th game already of the tournament. Here comes the pitch by Kettle Moraine. Hit over to the third baseman, fields it cleanly, fires way over the head of the first baseman, and the second baseman was there to try and back it up, but is not. So he's going to be on with the error by the third baseman. That's going to be Asher, who launched it over Schwartz's head. E5. Beaver Dam doesn't care how they get on base. They just want to make sure that they can score and match these 3 runs that was already scored here by the Lasers. Number 2, Braden Strakota, the catcher, is up. First pitch to Sakota is outside for a ball. Keel sitting over at third. Here comes the first pitch. Our second pitch to Strakota. Strike on that little changeup. 1-1. Trailing 3-0 here. Boston post 146, or Beaver Dam post 146. That's going to be hit hard. Laying out and making the catch is Kettle Moraine's left fielder, Stryeski. What a play there by Stryeski.
Left fielder for the first start of the year.
Stryeski.
I said it twice right.
Yes, you did.
Butcher that all day long.
I'm saying Spanbauer.
Yes.
Nice catch out there again. Kyler Keel had to retreat hard. That was a great hit ball by Strakota, but better defensive play by Brennan Stryeski. 1-0 is the count with one down here to Boston Damon. He's the shortstop for Beaver Dam. Here comes the pitch. In there for a strike. A slow changeup.
Number 5, Boston Damon.
3-0 here already in the first, but it's the Beaver Dam trying to answer their first at bat. Strike there to Boston Damon. 1-2 as Vogs. Pitching. Here's the next pitch. Hit out to left field again, and picking it off there is going to be Stryeski for the second. Brings up number 12. The DH for Beaver Dam post 146 is going to be Jarek Westover. Kyler Keel sitting over at third base still. Sullivan Vogs on the mound from the stretch. Here's the pitch. Ball outside. Here comes the next pitch. High and inside to the DH Westover. He's batting for the first baseman, Blake Hartman. Boggs ready to deliver. Hit hard, but it's going to be over to the second baseman, fielding it cleanly and throwing it over is going to be Milazzo over to Schwartz for the third out.
In the inning for Beaver Dam, no runs on
No hits, one error, and one left on.
13 pitches.
13 pitches for Vogs. Vogs. Not sure which way we'll pronounce that. So if somebody out there is listening and they can give me a pronunciation for the pitcher for Kettle Moraine, that would be great. So speaking of which, please feel free to pop stuff into the chat. Let me know where you're watching from, who you're cheering for, who's your favorite players. You're listening to Jeff Sauer here on Jeff's live stream. We'll be back for the top of the second. Kettle Moraine post 196. The Lasers with the lead over Beaver Dam post 146. Top of the second, brings up Luke Milazzo and ends up hitting first pitch to Boston Damon and reaches on the error by the shortstop. Next pitch in there by Aiden Root is a ball. Next pitch is in there for a strike to Ben Schwartz. Popped up foul territory for strike 2. 1-2 to Schwartz. Two and two is the count now here to Schwartz. Full count. Here comes the next pitch. Hit on the ground over to the third baseman. Foul. Luke Milazzo still over at first base for Kettle Moraine Lasers. Here's the pitch. In the dirt and walks Schwartz to get the runner over. To first and second now for the Lasers.
196, number 2, Emmett Kilchin.
Kettle Moraine has come to play some baseball today. Doing everything they can advance to the next game. Bunt. Laid down over towards third. Root grabs it, fires over, and not in time. Infield hit. Beautiful bunt for the single.
With the bunt single.
Moves the runners to first or second and third, and bases are loaded once again with nobody out for Kettle Moraine.
Yeah, just perfect placement. Like, yeah, I have this. You couldn't have freaking thrown that ball any more perfect.
Here comes the next pitch from Aiden Root. Bases loaded. On the outside edge for strike to Emmett Kelchin. Number 2, the center fielder. Last time he drew a walk.
Kaden Asher. Kelchin's the one that just laid down the bunt.
What happened with Schwartz?
Schwartz drew a walk.
I thought that was Milazzo.
Milazzo, he was safe on an air.
Oh, that's right. Okay, my fault. Where am I marking all these things? In the wrong spot here. Wow, I messed that up.
It's all right. Oh, you idiot. What are you doing? Jesus. Thanks for the out. What's that?
What happened?
He hit the runner. He hit the runner.
When he hit the ball?
Yeah. Dead ball, right? So it's a dead ball. Run doesn't score, right? I don't know if the run scores or not. I don't think it does.
Nope, they're sending him back. All right, so
So it'd still be the worst thing you could ever do. Yeah. And the ball's in front of you. Yeah, that was bad base running. So 1 out, right? The batter gets first? Yeah, the batter does get first. Yeah, it's just a dead ball.
Dead ball in the play. Run does not score. Runners go back. 1 out. Now batting number 3, Dominic Ricardo.
So Milazzo was, Schwartz was out?
Schwartz was out. Right.
How do you mark that in the book?
I didn't know how to mark that.
Interference?
Yeah. I'll just put an I. DR, dumb base running.
All right, trying to get everything straightened up here. I got so wrapped up in everything else that's going on. Got to get my focus. So 1-1 to Fracaro. Fracaro fouls that one off. 1-2. Kelshin was the one that laid down the good bunt. Asher hit the ball, but it was hit that runs into by Schwartz, who gets an out. So those are your runners on base. Hit off of the glove. Damon's going to pick it up and fire and get the out for the second out, but the run scores.
Caro grounds out to the shortstop for the second out of the inning. Malazzo scores on the play.
Fracaro grounds out 6-3, and Malazzo comes back from third and scores. Pitch by Root on the outside for a strike.
Now batting number 32, Logan Gronwald.
Logan Gronwald up to bat, number 32. He is the shortstop. Here's the next pitch. High. 1-1 to Gronwald. Here's the next pitch by Root. Hit to third base, booted over there by Franke, and that's going to allow another run to score. And the error.
Gronwald reaches on the air.
Kelchin comes around to score.
Scores. Brings up
Asher is over at third.
Brennan Stryeski.
Brennan Stryeski now coming up to bat. He is the left fielder. Pitch in there. First one to Stryeski is a ball. Swing, stolen base opportunity, and tags him out. Well, I don't know what that was, but that certainly was not a very good effort there by Gronwald to steal the base. And he gets cut down 2-6 on the putout. I didn't see what that was, that last pitch to Stryeski. It just counts as a pitch. It was a ball, so it was 2-0. Yep, got it.
Just 2 to Stryeski and 2 to Gronwald is what you had?
That's what I had. 3 to Gronwald, but that doesn't mean anything.
I missed one for Gronwald. That's why I was asking you.
All right, that's going to do it here. It's time for me to take some time in between innings here and get myself focused and make sure that I can stay accurate here with the calls.
Kettle Moraine.
After 1.5, your score is 5-0. The Kettle Moraine Lasers out of post 196 with a lead over Beaver Dam post 146.
After inning and a half, Kettle Moraine leads
We'll be back.
5.
Welcome back to the Gus. So we get ready here for
Leading off for Beaver Dam. Number 4.
the bottom of the second inning. Leading off here for Beaver Dam is number 4, Jeff Freund. He is the right fielder. Beaver Dam's got to see if they can get something rolling here. Pitching is Sullivan Boggs. First pitch is in there for a strike. 0-1. Here comes the next pitch on the outside for a ball, 1-1 to Freund.
And a crazy good defensive play in left field from home.
Go get some ice.
Sullivan Boggs ready to pitch. Outside for a ball, 2-1. Freund trying to get Beaver Dam post 146 rolling here. They did have their leadoff hitter on last time, Kyler Keel, but he got stuck at second. Here's the pitch. Hit hard. Drops in front of the center fielder in left center for a base hit. First hit of the game.
With the single left center. Brings up the second baseman, Jake Joka.
So first hit of the game for Beaver Dam as they get Freund over on the single as he drops it in front of the right or center fielder. Brings up the second baseman, Jake Jilka. Runner over at first. Takes off right away. Hops the ball in front on the pitch. It's a ball.
Freund steals second.
So ball one to Jake Jilka, and Freund gets a stolen base. Here comes the next pitch to Jilka. Ball. 2-0. Jeff Freund sitting over at second base. Here comes the pitch. Right in there for a strike from Sullivan Vogues. 2-1. Here comes the next pitch. Hit on the ground to the third baseman. He looks and holds the runner. Runner does take off. Going to see if they can get the play. And he is in there safe. So nice running by Freund. Joka is put out on the 5-3.
Joka rounds out the third for the first inning. Freund advances to third.
So a runner is now in scoring position at third base. He was in scoring position from second, but good heads-up running there by Freund to take off and get here. Brings up number 9, Carson Franke. First pitch a little bit high to Franke, in there for a ball. Runner at third base. Here's the pitch. Fouled off. 1-1 to Franke. Third baseman today for Beaver Dam. Here comes the next pitch. Outside. 2-1. Freund at third. Here comes the pitch from Sullivan Boggs. Time is requested by the hitter, and he gets it. Freund retreats back. Here comes the next pitch by Boggs. Hit off to the right-hand side. That might be in fair territory enough, and it's not. It floats over foul. Makes the count 2-2.
Never seen the guy in the field, but I've seen this guy a couple times. I don't know where. We had him this year, or they usually work together in high school too.
Over at third again is Jeff Freund. Here's the pitch. Fouled off again to the right-hand side. That little slow changeup that loops in there kind of like a softball pitch. Hitter's trying to adjust to hitting that. Backed in the dirt. Gets it to a full count. 3-2 with only one out here for post 146. Sullivan Vogues ready to pitch. Outside, and drawing the walk is Franke. Puts runners at the corners now here for Beaver Dam. Franke over at first, Freund at third. And coming up to bat is number 13, the left fielder, Leo George. Franke with a huge lead over there at first. Boggs from the stretch. Runner takes off. They decide to let him go. So Franke is in there with a stolen base. Runners at second and third now in scoring position here for Beaver Dam, post 146. Trying to get on the scoreboard. Trailing right now 5-0. Here comes the pitch by Boggs. Ball 2 to George. Sullivan Boggs on the mound. Here's the pitch. Outside, good stop there by Fracaro, the catcher for Kettle Moraine. The Lasers representing post 196. 3-0 is the count now to George. Runners at second and third, Freund and Franke. Here comes the pitch. Right down the middle for a strike. 3-1. Once again, runners over there at second and third. Here's the pitch. Strike 2, swinging at that little floating changeup as it's thrown in there for a strike. Full count to Leo George. Here comes the pitch. Ball gets away and draws the walk to put bases loaded here for Beaver Dam with only one out, and brings up the pitcher, Aiden Root.
Pitcher number 10, Aiden Root.
Here's the next pitch with bases loaded. Ball 1 to Aiden Root. No place to put him, so he draws a walk. It'll score a run here and get Beaver Dam on the scoreboard. Here comes the pitch. Fouled. Right in front of the plate. 1-1. George over at first, Franke at second, Freund over at third for Beaver Dam. Going from the windup is Sullivan Vogues. Here's the pitch. Outside. Smothered there by Fracaro. 2-1. To Aiden Root. Trying to help himself out here as the pitcher for post 146. Hits that one into left. Comes in and catches it. Nope, dropped the ball. He almost had the double play. That's a great play again out there by the left fielder.
Nice play by the left fielder.
Stryeski with the catch out there.
Now batting number 15, Kyler Keel.
Brings up the leadoff hitter, Kyler Keel, here in the second. Beaver Dam needs to get going. That's going to be hit to the third baseman. Fields it cleanly. Fires over to second and gets the force out at second. And that's going to be George, who's put out. So on the fielder's choice for...
In the inning for Beaver Dam, no runs on one hit, 3 left on base, no errors.
No runs, and 1 hit, no errors, and 3 left on for Beaver Dam.
What's it? Okay.
We'll be back here for the top of the third to score 5-0.
Second base going to pitcher.
Nice catch out there by Boston Damon as the leadoff hitter Brennan Stryeski goes after that first pitch and flies it out to the shortstop.
Pops up to the shortstop. Brings up number 10.
New pitcher coming in here for Beaver Dam is Jake Jilka. First pitch in there for a strike. Fouled off to the right-hand side. Trying to get there. Out of play. Given chase was Jeff Freund. First pitch, yeah, for a strike. Number 10, Grayson Lurich is up to bat. Here's the next pitch by Jilka. Strike in there. And a little changeup. 0-2. He's ahead of Lurich. Here comes the next pitch. Right on the inside edge. I thought that was a strike. It's not. It's hard to tell the height from here, so 2-1. Maybe it was a little low. Here's the pitch. Hit on the ground over to Boston Damon. He's going to field it, fire it over across to Hartman, and get the second out. 6-3 on the putout.
Rounds out to shortstop and second out. Brings up number 15 is Sullivan Vogt.
Brings up number 15, the pitcher for Kettle Moraine Post 196, Sullivan Vogues. Here's the next pitch. Grounded foul towards the third base side for a strike to Vogues. So Jilka has been doing a good job since he came in here throwing first pitch strikes. He's ready to go on the mound, waiting for Boggs to get into the box. Here comes the pitch. Inside for a ball. 1-1. Yep. Northland Pines is Eagle River. Minocqua is Lakeland. Yeah. 2-1 is the count to Vogues. A little bit low. 3-1 now. Nice discipline there by Vogues. Starting out with a strike and watching the next three. Here comes the pitch. Down the middle. Grounded again over to Damon. Picks it up. Fires across the diamond and gets the out to Vogues. 3 up, 3 down, and all 3 plays made by Boston Damon at short. No runs, no hits, no errors, and nobody left on. After 2.5, your score is 5-0. Kettle Moraine Post 196, the Lasers with the lead. We'll be back here for the bottom of the third. 11 pitches for Jilka. Oh, yeah, Emmett Kelchin, sorry. I was looking at Lurich. Welcome back here to the bottom of the third. Leading things off for Beaver Dam Post 146 is the catcher, Braden Strakota, seeing if he can get some things rolling here for Beaver Dam. First pitch in on the new pitcher, Emmett Kelchin, fielded there by the shortstop, number 32, Logan Gronwald. Flies out for the first out. Brings up Boston Damon. I'm not sure why the pit coach pulled Vogues. He was doing a good job. He had Beaver Dam off balance. With 39 pitches, he can't pitch tomorrow. Unless they have a game scheduled. I'm not sure what the reason is, but that's what's happened here. 2-0 is the count to Boston Damon. As they look at the left-handed pitching Emmett Kelchin, who came in from center. Fouls or hits that off to the right-hand side. Foul. Two and one. So defensive switches. Boggs goes out to right. Lurich moves from right over to center, and Kelchin comes in to pitch. 2-1 is the count to Damon with 1 out. Breaking ball a little bit high from the lefty. 3-1 now to Boston Damon. Beaver Dam just needs runners. They got to get people on base. Right on the outside edge for a strike. 3-2. Full count to Boston Damon. Here comes the pitch from Emmett Kelchin. Fouled off to the right. Still keeps it as a full count. Hit foul on the left-hand side this time. Damon staying alive there at the plate.
Did you see the birdie in the block that was fouled for the winning run? I heard that was the winning run, was the book.
You're talking about where he moved his hand? I never found the ruling on
Well, it looked like he just stepped off the
Here's the next pitch. Hit right at the third baseman. Catches that line drive. Is Asher for the out. Hit hard, but robbed by the third baseman. So the left-hand side of the field is doing an amazing job here for Kettle Moraine, as the left fielder Stryeski has had several great catches, and now that is a robbing line drive from Boston Damon for Beaver Dam, and it's caught by Asher. For 2 down, brings up the DH, Jarek Westover. First pitch, a ball. Here comes the next pitch on the outside for a strike. 1-1. 2 down here for Beaver Dam, post 146. Emmett Kelchin ready to pitch. Inside. Ends up diving out of the way. 2-1. 2-1 is the count with 2 outs. Here comes the pitch. Outside for a ball. 3-1. Here comes the next pitch. Fouled off by Westover. Makes it a full count. Here comes the next pitch by Kelchin. Fouls that one off. Staying alive. Beaver Dam just needs to get some base runners here. It's not like they haven't had a couple of decent hits, but the defense has been much better here from Kettle Moraine. Fouled off again by Westover. He's DHing today for Blake Hartman over at first base. Three and two with 2 outs. Here comes the pitch. Outside and draws the walk. Good at bat there for Westover.
Westover draws the walk. Brings up number 4, Jeff Frum.
Brings up number 4, Jeff Freund. Moved over to center. In there for a strike to Freund, the first pitch. Westover at first base with a good lead there with a lefty on the mount. Good hard hit in left center this time by Freund. That's going to get around. An opportunity here for Westover to score. He's going to turn. He's going to try and make it in, and he does all the way from first base. So a nice job there with Freund hitting the double.
Double. Brings up number 3, Jake Jolka from Candick.
So Beaver Dam finally erases that 0 up on the scoreboard, making the score 5-1 here with 2 outs. Brings up the second, or the pitcher now, Jake Jilka. 1-0 is the count here to Jilka. Pitch inside on the breaking ball. 2-0. Freund sitting over at second. Here's the pitch. Inside again for a ball. 3-0. Nobody even trying to hold. Inside for a ball. 4 straight balls. Puts runners on first and second now for Beaver Dam. Brings up number 9, Carson Franke.
Brings up number 9, Carson Franke, Georgia coach.
So here's your runners at first and second for Beaver Dam. First pitch is in there for a strike to Carson Franke. Franke moved over to second when Jilka came in to pitch. Franke reached on a base on balls in the last inning. On the outside for a strike. 0-2. Here comes the pitch. Nope, time granted to Franke.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Runners at first and second. Here's the pitch. Runner takes off. Gets down to third. Put out at... Ooh!
I feel it. He knew he was out. He was ready to even the home plate even thinks he's out.
He's out. He overrules him, and he's calling interference for the hitter being in the way.
Called out at third.
So he's called out at third.
For interference from the batter.
Was that 3 pitches to that batter? So 26.
So 26 total.
Didn't look like he left the box.
In the inning for Beaver Dam, 1 run on 1 hit. No errors, 1 left on. 26 pitches in the inning for Kelton.
So is Franke still up to bat then?
Yeah. Yep. No, it wasn't straight.
No, it wasn't. Oh, I don't know. Actually, no, it couldn't have been. He didn't call it as strike 3.
6 o'clock game
Yeah,
yesterday.
the ones that had to call interference on strike 3.
Okay.
31 for 40.
So Penoyer coming in for... Gus, just some crazy action taking place.
Short in the first pitch.
Milazzo comes up to bat here for Kettle Moraine on the first pitch, takes a swing at it, and it's caught by Boston Damon for the first out. In that last inning, they're calling batter interference as the catcher was trying to throw down to third. That pitch in there by Jilka is a strike to Riley Penoyer coming in, number 31 for Schwartz. That second pitch in there. I didn't see if it was a strike or not. Here's the next pitch. Down low. 2-1 is the count. To Penoyer. Quickly working. It's Jilka. For a strike. 2-2. Bless you. Here comes the pitch. Hit up the middle. Damon gets there on the run, flips it. Good play there by Boston Damon to get it over to Hartman. Nice play up the middle for the second out. Brings up the leadoff hitter, the pitcher now, Emmett Kelchin. 2 outs here for Kettle Moraine. Fouls that one off. They scored in the first, scored in the second. Shut down here in the third. So far, shut down here in the fourth inning as well. Strike 1 by Jilka. That one's a little bit low, 1-1. Here comes the next pitch. In the dirt, ball 2, 2-1. 5-1 is your score. Beaver Dam scored in the last inning, but after that, that's going to be hit up the middle. Nice try there by the second baseman to dive and try and get the play, but just outside of his reach. He's going to go for a single. That's his second hit of the game.
What do you got for pitches? 10?
Brings up number 7, Caden Asher. Jilka fires over to hold Kelchin. Dives back in. Here's the pitch. Little bit low, 1-0 to Asher. Had a good play defensively last inning. Here's the pitch outside again, ball 2. Expect Kelchin to get going here. There it is. Hit and run, hit over towards the left fielder. And making the play is going to be Stryeski for the out.
Lies out to left field.
For the third out, so
For the third out of the inning.
no runs on 1 hit, no errors, and 1 left on. After 3.5 complete, your score from the Gus in Waupun, Kettle Moraine post 196, the Lasers 5, Beaver Dam post 146. 1. We'll be back here for the bottom of the 4th. You're listening to Jeff Sauer here on Jeff's live streams. To the Gus coming up to bat here for post 146 to get things started for Beaver Dam. Leo George bunts high one way over his head for a strike, went foul. So Frankie was called out because of the interference at home for the third out. Beaver Dam here in the 4th needs to get things rolling. That's going to be foul. 0-2. Emmett Kelchin, the pitcher here for Kettle Moraine. Here comes the pitch. High for a ball. 1-2. George reached on a base on balls in the 2nd. Fouls that one off. Not sure if that went off the catcher or the umpire. 2-2. Looks like that went off of Fracaro. He looks okay. Here's the pitch. Sidearm. Hit on the ground over to the pitcher. He flips and gets the out at first. So Kelchin over to Pinoy, or no.
George thrown out by the pitcher for the first.
Over to Stryeski. Stryeski came in over at first.
Now batting for post 146, number 10, Aiden Rote.
I got to try and get these changes now because it looks like that's Stryeski over at first. First pitch in there is a strike to Aiden Root.
It's Caden Asher's at first.
Nope.
Number 7.
Nope, Panoyer is over at
No, you're right. Stryeski's. No. 7.
7.
Asher. It's Asher.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Flies that out to the first baseman.
Flies out to first base for the second out of the inning.
How many pitches did I wasn't paying attention to? 7 total. So 2 there.
Now batting number 15, Kyler Keel.
In there for a strike to the leadoff hitter, Kyler Keel. Beaver Dam trying to get something rolling. In there for a strike, 1-1. Or 0-1, sorry. 0-2. Jeez.
I'll get ready eventually. It's fine.
Hit hard out in left center, so Keel's going to get on with a base hit. First hit of the game for Kyler Keel.
The single to center brings up number 2, Braden Stricota.
It's trying to get things all switched around here, so Panoyer went over to third on defense, and Asher is over at...
That was 3 to him, total 10.
Brings up number 2, Braden Stricota. Throw over. One of the issues here is that they keep getting 2 outs before they get a runner on for Beaver Dam. Here's the pitch. Ball. Here comes the next pitch. Ball 2, low to Braden Stricota. Oh, It's got that late strike call, so I'm not used to that, so we got to get that adjusted here. 1-1. 2-1 now to Braden Strakota. Kyler Keel still sitting over at first. Surprised he hasn't tried to take off yet. Here's the pitch. Ball 3. 3-1 to Strakota. The pitcher is Emmett Kelchin for Kettle Moraine. And draws the walk.
Dakota draws the walk.
So runners at first and second now brings up number 5, Boston Damon. The shortstop. Emmett Kelchin from the stretch. Here's the pitch. Hit down the third base side. Fair ball. That's going to score 1 run. Strakota stays at second, and a good job there by Boston Damon to help score
Damon with the RBI single.
the second run for Beaver Dam by Kyler Keel coming around on the single.
Number 12, Jarek Westover.
Brings up Jarek Westover. So Strakota is over at second. Damon is at first. Going to get a courtesy coming in here. It's got to be 17, Carter Rohde, the birthday boy.
Courtesy runner number 17, Carter Rohde.
Happy birthday to Carter Rohde out there. As he comes in, he's at second base. Kelchin, ready to deliver. Strike there by Westover, the DH. He drew a walk in the third, so he's already seen Kelchin and grounded out to second in the first inning. Here's the pitch. Hit right over the second baseman for another base hit. That'll score another run here for Beaver Dam. Get the ball in quickly, and they hold runners at the corners. Nice hustle there by Rohde to come around and score.
Damon advances to third. Now batting number 4, Jeff Brown.
I'm too low on this block in front of me. I don't get to see him.
Nice job there by Beaver Dam. Everything after 2 outs. Runner's going to take off. And Westover now breaks up the force.
Westover steals second.
5-3 is your score. Here's the next pitch. Hit over towards the right-hand side, and getting underneath it is going to be Voges for the out. But Beaver Dam scores 2 runs in this inning.
Slides out to right field for the third out.
They have 2 runs on 3 hits,
For Beaver Dam.
no errors, and 2 left on for Beaver Dam. After 4 complete, your score is 5-3. The Kettle Moraine Post 196 Lasers with the lead over Beaver Dam Post 146. We'll be back here from the Gus. I'll take one, Travis, please. You're listening to Jeff Sauer here on Jeff's live stream. We'll be back for the top of the 5th. We have a game here. Beaver Dam 3, Kettle Moraine 5. Welcome back here to the Gus. Quickly, number 3, Dominic Fracaro is on at the plate. He's going to flare that one over the first baseman's head, Hartman. And they try and throw him out from right, but he gets there with a single.
With a single to right to lead off the 5th.
That's his first hit of the game.
Number 32, Logan Gronwald. Brings
Brings up number 32, Logan Gronwald, he's the shortstop.
Who's came in? 13.
Courtesy runner is number 13, Dawson Mao.
Courtesy runner number 13, Dawson Mao.
Gets him in and out pretty quick. Yeah.
Comes in for Gronwald. Up to bat now, number 21, Brennan. Oh, no, it is Gronwald up. I'm sorry. Diving back in.
Ball back to first base.
Here's the pitch. Outside for a ball. Fires over to first.
Considering he has a 3-foot lead, he sure is close to getting caught. Damn back.
Here comes the pitch. Hit foul by Gronwald. 1-1.
The guy with the long hair is not even in the infield.
Diving over again.
He's DHing that.
Yeah, that's right.
That's kind of surprising.
Yeah.
Time is called by Gronwald, and it's granted.
Pretty good glove.
Joka from the stretch. Here's the pitch. Right down the middle for strike. Looked like a little bit of a breaking ball. 1-2. Joka fires back over. I don't really think that Dawson Mao is going anywhere. He doesn't have that huge of a lead. Here's the pitch. Breaking ball again in there for a strike looking. And he gets the first strikeout of the game.
Strikes out for the first out of the inning.
Goes down looking for the first out.
Brennan Stryeski. Lowridge of it.
An old junk ball.
Yeah, that was the first strikeout by either team.
Brennan Stryeski now the hitter, number 21.
First strikeout for either pitcher in the game.
No kidding.
Here's the pitch. A little bit low for a ball. Looked like Stryeski was planning to bunt.
In a row.
Kettle Moraine.
Joker's gonna set a single game takeoff fucking record here.
Yeah.
Set over.
Again, for the 14th time.
He wants to keep it close. So
Trying to hold Mao tight to that first base. Again, he doesn't even have that big of a lead. I don't know that he's going to go. Bunt opportunity here, right out in front. Over to first. He had plenty of time to get him at second. But he gets the second out by throwing it over, making sure he gets the safe play.
Stryeski with
So on the sacrifice,
So close, he was out by a mile on second base.
picks it up for the second out. Brings up Grayson Lurich.
And Grayson Lurich.
Lurich had a hit in the first inning and then grounded out to the shortstop in the third.
I don't get that.
Here's the pitch.
Bunt there, though.
Popped up. Might have burned the left fielder trying to get on it. He does and hops the fence. And that's going to allow the run to score on the double.
That pitch runner's a terrible
It's the
runner.
first time I saw him
See
hit
the
the
guy
ball.
tagging?
Yeah. Lurich with an RBI.
Brings in Mao
Scores
on the double.
runner.
So after 2 outs, they score.
Number 15, Sullivan Vogt.
Brings in Sullivan Vogues.
Oh, he's toast.
Had Lurich caught over there and didn't make the throw over. Here comes the pitch. Download. Ball one. Score is now 6-3 for Kettle Moraine Lasers. Hit on the ground to Boston Damon. Fields it cleanly and fires over to first. Gets the out. But Kettle Moraine brings one of those runs back and scores. 1, 2 hits. 1 run on 2 hits. No errors. And 1 left on
One run on 2 hits.
for Kettle Moraine, post 196. Your score after 4.5 complete is 6-3.
I'll take the score.
33.
4.
Yeah, it's not very good.
10 pitches by Jilka in the inning for 33 total. We'll be back here for the bottom of the fifth. Beaver Dam once again has a 3-run deficit that they got to try and close here in the next 3 innings. You're listening to Jeff Sauer here on Jeff's live stream. We'll be back. Welcome back here to the Gus. New pitcher for Kettle Moraine is going to be Grayson Lorich. He's going to come in. First pitch is in there for a strike as he's leading off to the second baseman for Beaver Dam, Jake Jilka. Not sure what's the intent here of this pitching change. Hits Jilka. He missed him? Oh. It looked like it hit him from here.
I don't get why he changed pitchers.
1-1. So not sure why that.
Wasn't throwing strikes, but I don't get this one.
Here's the next pitch. Ball. 2-1.
How do we get out of this? We got a 5-run lead. We don't want to play water down.
They might play Hartford first. That's true.
Here comes the pitch. A little bit low. 3-1 now to Jilka. So Kelchin goes back out to center. And Boggs is still out in right. And Lurich is the pitcher. Trying to play to stay alive to play tomorrow. That's hit hard between third and short for number 3, Jake Jilka, for his first hit of the game. And this time they get it with the leadoff hitter on. So now they still have their 3 outs to play with. Previously in the last 2 innings, they started out with 2 outs and then they've got the runners on. But now runners are on with nobody out. Brings up Carson Franke. Franke was called out in the third for interference. And he had a base on balls in the second. First pitch in there to Franke. I think it was a ball. I didn't see it. Here comes the next pitch. In there for a strike. I think it's 1-1 is the count. To Carson Franke. Here comes the next pitch. Nope, steps off. Lurich forcing Jilka to get back. Here's the pitch outside for a ball. In the first game I saw Beaver Dam playing, when they took on Mayville, they were very aggressive on the base pads. Ball 3 to Franke. 3-1. Jilka over at first for post 146. Here's the pitch. In there for a strike. 3-2 to Frankie. Grayson Lurich on the mound for Kettle Moraine. Time is granted to the batter, Frankie. Joka goes back at first. Here comes the pitch. And hits him in the back for the walk. He was going to walk anyways on that ball, so he might as well hit him.
He hit by a pitch. Puts runners at first and second. Brings up the left fielder, number 13, Leo George.
Now runners at first and second for Beaver Dam with nobody out. Brings up number 13, Leo George. Frankie over at first. Jilka over at second.
When he gave the lineup cards the first 3 days, he didn't even put
Here comes the pitch.
positions by
Bunt opportunity way up by the eyes again
He told me when we met, he's like, he's made the first year or so.
for a strike.
Really?
Yeah, they do that in the majors all the time.
Yeah. Do they do that? Is there any place?
Here comes the pitch by Lurich. Bunt popped up in the air, does go down. Play is over at third on the force as the runner was caught.
Joka thrown out at third. Fielder's choice.
So the catcher fields that little pop-up bunt that was supposed to happen and ends up getting Jilka thrown out, so 2-5 for the first out. Brings up Aiden Root. He's playing over at third right now. First pitch to Root is a strike.
I don't know.
Here's the next pitch. Inside. 1-1. Aiden Root flew out to left, flew out to the first baseman. Second pitch to Root is in there for a third pitch. 1-2 with one out. Runner still over at first and second. It's Frankie and George. Here's the pitch. Off the end of the bat. Trying to get there. Out of play. Keeps the count still at 1-2.
Watching Beaver Dam this year compared to other years, they're starting to tail off a little bit, aren't they?
One and two is the count with one out. Runners at first and second. Inside to Root. 2-2. George over at first. Frankie over at second. Here's the pitch. Hit on the ground between the shortstop and the third baseman. And they're going to hold him. And he's caught at second. Here comes the run home, and he scores, but George is out at second. Next runner, halfway down, potentially going to be picked off here, is Root. So Root gets the single, then advances on the error.
Frankie scores on the play. George thrown out at second.
If I was older, I'd be yelling at you like, I just got busted on second. You should have sent him.
So 7-4 on the putout. For the second out,
19.
Root is over at second.
Good on that. I know I'm
Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna.
Ball one.
I definitely want to.
Here in the bottom of the fifth, 6-4. Cut the lead to 2 so far. Here's the batter. The top of the order, Kyler Keel. He hit a single the last time up. 2-0 is the count to Keel. Here comes the next pitch from Grayson Lurich, who's come in. Over the head, that's going to get it behind the catcher, and that's going to allow for Root to advance to third. 2 outs. 3-0 is the count to Keel.
He's all they got left now.
Yeah, they don't have anyone else left to throw.
Here comes the next pitch by Lurich. Inside for the ball and walks him on 4 straight pitches. Now runners at the corners. So brings up Braden Strakota, who reached on a walk the last inning, flew out to left field in the first, flew out to the pitch or shortstop in the third. Runners at first and second. I really expect for Keel to take off and get over.
Asher's not marked on here.
Here's the next pitch. Outside. And he makes it. A stolen base. Runners at second and third in scoring position here for Braden Strakota. A good base hit here out in the outfield will score the tying run from second. Here comes Strakota with ball 1. On the outside edge in there for a strike. 1-1 to Strakota. Runners at second and third. Hit onto the foul ball. Goes foul. Strakota hit that one in the dirt. 1-2.
Johnson, Asher, Dronewall, Bogues, and Kelch.
Do you know, Otis, was this the team also that brought a kid in to pinch run that was in the roster? Yeah. Yep. Oh, he played with us all year.
1-2 is the count with 2 outs. Beaver Dam trailing here by 2 runs. Kettle Moraine trying to keep that lead. Hit over to the second baseman after he got back into position and then lofts it and grounds out.
Grounds out to second
For the third out.
In the inning for Beaver Dam.
1 run.
1 hit.
1 hit. I have 2 hits.
2 hits, sorry. No errors, 2 left on base.
No errors and 2 left on. After 5 complete, your score is 6-4.
After 5 innings complete.
Kettle Moraine post 196, the Lasers with the lead over Beaver Dam post 146. We'll be back here for the top of the 6th. You're listening to Jeff Sauer here on Jeff's live stream. Again, let's get some stuff posted in the chat. I apologize. I haven't gone back to check and see if there's there. Nothing's there. So let me know where you're watching from, who you're cheering for. What do you think of the game so far? Who do you think's going to win? I like to put that stuff out there. Kids like to go back and check it out. 27 pitches there for Lurich. We'll be back. Back here to the Gus on the mound, still pitching for Beaver Dam is Jake Jilka. Coming up to bat here for Kettle Moraine, hitting the first ball hard out into left, but caught there by George is Luke Malazzo. So our first pitch swinging, flies out here in the top of the 6th for the first out. Brings up 31, Riley Panoyer. Playing over at third base, I believe. First pitch in there to us for Panoyer is a strike. Next pitch, fouled off to the right-hand side. Strike 2. Jake Jilka likes to work fast here. Can't put my head down to take a look at the scorebook or see the defensive sets. Making sure I've got my cameras ready to roll as well. Jilka from the windup. Just as I say that, he steps off, slows things down. Didn't like the call from Strakota. Waves it off again. And now says, okay, here comes the pitch. Breaking ball on the outside, so he knows what he was talking about there on the mound and gets the strikeout for the second out. Brings up Emmett Kelchin. Kelchin was the pitcher and then went back out to center. Here's the pitch from Jilka. Slapped off the end of the bat. Trying to get there, and there's a base hit for Kelchin. That's his third hit of the game.
Kelchin with his third hit of the game. single left.
Was on also with a base on balls, so he's been on every time.
They showed Otis there. One and another one.
Yeah, I don't think he pitched. I don't see his name on here.
Aiden Asher now coming up to bat. Throw over by Jilka.
Kelsey's a good player.
Yeah.
Brady Eckert is coming in, it looks like.
Getting ready to pitch. Here's Jilka. Kelchin over at first. Jilka's looking to hold. Here's the pitch. In there for a strike. To Caden Asher. Asher grounded out and flew out.
Uh-oh. No.
0-1 is the count here in the sixth. 2 outs already for Kettle Moraine. Jake Jilka pitches. In there for a strike. Looked a little bit low, but 0-2 is the count on the outside edge. Asher still looking. Runner takes off, and it's a ball. Oh, he had him, but it just tailed a little bit. Stolen base for Kelchin. And 1-2 is the count to Asher.
Field second.
Here comes the pitch by Jilka. Right down the middle for a strike and gets him out for the third out.
Swinging for the final inning.
No runs on 1 hit, no errors, and 1 left on.
Left on base.
After 5.5 complete your score, Kettle Moraine post 196, the Lasers 6th. They've got a 2-run lead over Beaver Dam post 146-4. We'll be back here for the bottom of the 6th where Beaver Dam's going to see if they can push another run across.
9 pitches.
Welcome back to the Gus. Leading things off here for Beaver Dam, it's number 5, Boston Damon.
College kid, or is he coming out of high school?
Trailing here by 2 runs. Beaver Dam needs to get some more runners on base, see if they can push a couple more runs across. Scored 1 in the 3rd, 2 in the 4th, 1 in the 5th. Pitcher for Kettle Moraine is Grayson Lurich. It's the 4th pitcher used so far by Kettle Moraine.
Leading off for Beaver Dam, number 5, Boston Damon, Westover deck.
Damon had a hit in the 4th, flew out to left in the 1st, flew out to 3rd in the 3rd. Here's the pitch. It's a strike. Oh, yeah, sorry about that. Yep. I crossed off his first name. My fault. Yep. Strike 1 to Boston Damon. Here's the pitch. Oh. Strike zone's getting a little wider. 0-2 to Boston Damon. Lurich ready to pitch. In the dirt for a ball, 1-2. Here comes the next pitch. Hit over towards the second baseman. Fielded there by Malazzo. And gets it over to first base to Asher for the out. 4-3 on the putout to Boston Damon. It's going to bring up number 12, Jarek Westover. Westover scored after walking in the 3rd and then had a single in the 4th. Grounded out to the second baseman in the 1st inning. Here's the pitch. High for a ball to Westover.
He's committed. Yep.
It depends on if O'Connor walks here.
Yeah, they're here. They're out. They didn't hear right.
1-0 is the count here to Westover. Here comes the pitch. Low. Ball 2. Beaver Dam trying to get something rolling again here in the 6th. They need runners. Here's the pitch. Ball 3. 3-0 to Westover. He's DHing again for the first baseman, Blake Hartman. Here comes the pitch. Walks him on 4 straight. Gives Beaver Dam the runner they need. Tying run now comes up to the plate.
Draws the walk.
With only 1 out, brings up number 4, Jeff Freund.
Jeff Freund. Joke on deck.
So Westover sitting over at first base. Lurich from the stretch. He takes off, they step off, and then he throws it into center. So a stolen base there by Westover. He was dead to rights.
Stolen base.
And they get him moved over on a stolen base. Wow.
3, right? Or no, 2. Yeah, you're right.
Unreal that they put him in scoring position. I mean, Lurich had him dead to rights. Stepped over and then threw it behind. Sorry, I didn't click over on the plate so you could see that, but just threw it behind the shortstop who was running over. Here's the first pitch into Freund. Over to left field, making the catch out there is Stryeski.
Second out of the inning. Brings up number 3, Jake Joka.
Brings up Jake Jilka here in the bottom of the 6th. Jilka had a hit the last inning, walked in the 3rd, grounded out to the 3rd baseman in the 1st. Lurich steps off.
Yeah, and he did.
Here's the pitch. That was quick. Strike to Jilka. Beaver Dam trailing 6-4. Here's the pitch. Inside for a ball, 1-1. Here's the pitch. High. 2-1.
Who won the open there? Is that Smith that won?
Here comes the pitch from Grayson Lurich. My fault there, Grayson. Ball 3, 3-1. 2 down here for Beaver Dam. Runner over at second, so runner in scoring position. Beaver Dam trailing by 2 runs. Lurich ready to deliver. Outside, that's going to allow for Westover to advance on the base on balls and the wild pitch. Joka stops at first.
Now batting number 9, Carson.
Runner in scoring position. Carson Franke had a base on balls in the 2nd, got called out for interference in the 3rd, and then was hit by pitch in the 5th. Here's the opportunity. Runners on the bases will tie the score if both of them can score. Here's the pitch. Runner's going to take off. They're going to let him go. Break up the force. Now runners at 2nd and 3rd. Both are in scoring position here for Carson Franke. Strike 1 to Franke. On the outside, 1-1.
How do you throw it over the head of that kid?
Jilka over at 2nd. Westover's at 3rd. That pitch is in the dirt. 2-1. Here comes the pitch to Carson Franke, currently the 3rd baseman. Lurich, set. Here's the pitch. Ball 3, 3-1.
Yeah.
I was thinking the same thing.
3-1. Here's Lurich. Hit out in right to the right fielder. He makes the play and Vogues, and that's going to do it for this inning. No runs are scored
For a third out inning.
on
In the inning for Beaver Dam, no runs,
no hits,
no
no
errors,
errors,
2 left
and
on
1
base.
left on.
After 6 innings complete, Beaver Dam 4, Kettle Moraine 6.
We'll be back here for the top of the 7th. Beaver Dam trailing Kettle Moraine 6-4. Is that an error? 7. Kettle Moraine with a 2-run lead. The Lasers from post 196 trying to advance to tomorrow's play. Getting into the championship. Here's the pitch. Inside for a ball 1. Dominic Fricaro, the catcher. Ball 2. Jake Jilka, the pitcher, still for Beaver Dam. There's a strike. 2-1. Yeah, he's got that late strike call. That's going to be hit over to Boston Damon at short. Fields it. Fires across the diamond to Hartman and gets the out. 6-3 on the putout.
Rounds out the short for the first out of the inning. Brings up number 32, Logan Grunwald. Strayaski on deck.
Brings up now the shortstop for Kettle Moraine, number 32, Logan Gronwald. Had a single in the first. Hit again over to Damon. He fields it cleanly, fires across the diamond, and gets the out. 6-3 again on the putout.
Short on the first pitch.
A repeat.
Now batting number 21, Brennan Strayaski. Laura Chendek.
Brings up the left fielder here for Kettle Moraine, post 196, Brennan Strayeski. 2 down. Kettle Moraine with a 2-run lead. That's going to be hit into left field and fielded there cleanly by Leo George, getting the out for Beaver Dam.
Eyes out to left field for the third out.
For the third out, no runs, no hits, no errors, and nobody on. We'll be back here for the bottom of the 7th. Beaver Dam trails by 2. As the home team, they have an opportunity to try and at least tie this. The winner advances, the loser goes home. We'll be back.
What's that?
Welcome back here to the Gus. New pitcher now for Kettle Moraine is Brady Eckert. He's going to come in for Grayson Lurich. So Lurich is out.
What was the job guy at?
Joe good.
48.
Oh, 48? I thought you had him for 42. Oh, I didn't have that next inning. Yep, sorry. Yep, that's my fault. Yep. 48 pitches for Jilka from Beaver Dam. Bottom of the 7th. Here's the last chance for Beaver Dam to try and at least tie the game. Winner will advance. Leading things off for Beaver Dam is going to be Carter Rohde.
17, Carter Rohde.
Coming in to hit for Leo George. George, before going out, was 0 for 2 with a walk. Here comes the pitch to Rohde. First pitch is in there for a strike.
Truthfully, he's the best pitcher they've thrown today. So maybe they really do have some aces left. He's the best one I've seen in 2 games for him.
0-1. Here's the pitch. And he hits Rohde.
Maybe not. Sorry, I take it back. I was judging him after 1 month. So.
Rohde hit by a pitch. Brings up number 10, Aiden Root.
Brings up the number 9 hitter for Beaver Dam. That's going to be Aiden Root. Root is over playing at third base after starting as the pitcher. Hit down the third base line, just foul outside of the reach of Penoyer. Strike one. Again, Beaver Dam is trailing by 2 runs. That tying run is Root at the plate, but they've got to be able to get him across the plate here for the tie. 3 to win. Rhodey. Outside. Nice stop there by Fracaro to not allow that runner to advance. 1-1. Brady Eckert on the mound once again. It's the 4th pitcher being used. It's a ball. 2-1 to Aiden Root. Over at first base is Rhodey. Coming set. Here's the pitch. High, 3-1.
That's pretty good.
Go out the first 2 again?
No. I mean, I still tried to.
Save on arm.
Here comes the pitch from Eckert. In there for a strike. Full count now to Aiden Root. We'll see if Rhodey's going to take off or not. They're down to their last 3 outs. Here's the pitch. Inside, off of the glove. That's allowing the runner to turn at second. And he's now walked
Root draws the walk.
Aiden Root. So runners at first and second. Brings up the top of the order for Beaver Dam. This is where you want to be. Kyler Keel coming up.
I'm saying it's not going to happen.
Yeah, it's a possibility here.
He's got 12 rostered
On the whole thing.
on this right here, and he's burnt half of his pitching is in our corner right now. Yeah.
We'll be back. Players having their own little conference. Welcome back here to the Gus. Kyler Keel leading things off, or for the leadoff hitter for Beaver Dam is the 3rd hitter. The tying run is over at first. Winning run is at the plate. Here comes the pitch by Keel. He turns the bunt. Foul.
Yep, that was almost a terrible.
Strike one
Is Keel.
to Keel.
Third.
Third. He's a third.
He gets that catcher next, too. He's a good hitter.
Eckert on the mound here for Poston. 196 from Kettle Moraine. Here comes the pitch. Bunt opportunity. Lays it down right in front. Runs down to first.
Got him.
It's thrown out. Nice play there by the pitcher, but he moves the runners over. It looked like Keel thought he had beat that one out, but good play there by Eckert to pick it up and fire it over to get the first out. But the runners advance to second and third on the sacrifice. Brings up number 2, Braden Strakota, with only 1 out. The runner over at second base is the tying run. Strakota at the plate. Strike on the outside edge to Strakota. Had the same situation in the 5th inning where Strakota then grounded out to the second baseman, but there's only 1 out right now. Here's the pitch. Good job there by Fracaro to stop that one behind the plate. 1-1. Coming up next is Boston Damon. Here's the pitch to Strakota. High, 2-1. Kettle Moraine holding on to a 2-run lead. Beaver Dam trying to mount the comeback here in the 7th. Eckert ready to deliver. Down the middle there, right for a strike. 2-2. I don't know how he could lay off of that one, but Strakota lays off. 2-2. Huge lead out there at second base, so a base hit will do it wonders. It's going to be a hit going over to the second baseman. He picks it up and fires, but 1 run scores.
Rounds out to second.
Rhodey comes around and scores.
Scores on the plate.
So the RBI grounding out again to the second baseman for the second out brings up Boston Damon. Damon only has one hit for the game. Flew out to left, flew out to third, and grounded out to the second baseman. Here's the pitch. Ball one to Boston Damon.
Pretty cool, say.
I wouldn't throw that pitch again though.
It was a good spot.
Yeah, it's perfect spin.
Tying run is over at third base.
Oh, you're gonna go for this?
Oh, they're going to walk him.
Okay, so that,
They'll bring up Westover.
Intentional walk issued to Damon.
I don't know about putting a winning run on base.
Brings up number 12, Jarek Westover.
Well, Damon's going to take off stealing here, no doubt about that. It's going to bring up Jarek Westover. So if I'm Westover, I'm sitting dead red until he gets over. He takes him, pops it up over into left field, and makes the catch, and that's going to do it. Beaver Dam is eliminated 6-5
Final score
as Westover takes that first pitch. I am surprised that he did that. Didn't allow Damon to get over in scoring position first for the win and then take the next one.
Tomorrow,
17.
So Beaver Dam will advance. They'll be playing at 4:30.
4:30. Tomorrow at 4:30.
Kettle Moraine is eliminated.
No, Kettle Moraine's advancing.
Oh, I'm sorry. I had that backwards. Kettle Moraine advances. Beaver Dam is eliminated
How many pitches do you have? 16?
I had 17. Yeah, the last
on the 6-5 win
17 pitches.
here
record.
at the Gus. So tomorrow, Kettle Moraine will be playing at 4:30. And we'll see what happens here. It's an elimination game coming up here for Hartford. Watertown is still undefeated. So Watertown will be in the championship game no matter what. But if Hartford is able to win, then it'll be Hartford playing Kettle Moraine at 4:30 with a 7 o'clock Watertown moving in there. We'll be back here from the Gus for the next game. Watertown and Hartford playing for the championship. Hartford cannot afford to lose. They've got one loss. It would be an elimination. Watertown comes in undefeated. Thanks for listening to the live stream. This has been Jeff Sauer here on Jeff's live stream. Take care. God bless. And I can't wait to see you at the